"Why aren't you afraid, Earthling?" she asked. His answer left her stunned. The sky above the Dominion flagship was dark and calm, like nothing important was about to happen. The massive alien ship floated in space without movement, its surface smooth and sharp at the same time. Smaller ships moved around it like insects around a giant predator. Inside the flagship, deep within its core, a single human walked forward under armed guard. His name was Ethan Cole. He wore no armor, no weapons. Just simple earth clothes that looked weak and plain compared to the glowing metal walls around him. The air felt heavy, not because of gravity, but because of power. Every step echoed. Every alien soldier watching him expected fear. They did not see it. Ethan's face was calm. His breathing was slow. His hands were steady at his sides. The Dominion had conquered thousands of worlds. Every species they met reacted the same way, fear first, then begging, then silence. Humans were supposed to be no different. Earth had fallen quickly. Its fleets were broken. Its cities now watched the sky with worry. This man standing here was the last voice of his planet. The guards stopped him before a massive chamber. The doors opened without sound. Inside, the High Commander waited. She was taller than any human. Her form was elegant and terrifying, shaped by evolution and war. Her skin shimmered like dark crystal, and her eyes burned with intelligence older than human history. She sat upon a raised platform, surrounded by advisors and commanders who controlled fleets powerful enough to burn stars. This was the mind behind the invasion of Earth. Ethan was pushed forward. He did not stumble. The chamber was silent. Many eyes watched him closely. Some felt curiosity, others hunger, most felt nothing at all. The High Commander studied him for a long moment. She had expected shaking. She had expected tears. She had expected a broken creature. She saw none of it. "You are the human representative," she said. Her voice was smooth, calm, and heavy with authority. "Yes," Ethan replied, simple, clear, no trembling. A few of the advisors shifted slightly. Humans were known to be emotional. This one did not show it. "Your world has surrendered," the High Commander continued. "Your defenses are gone. Your future now belongs to the Dominion." Ethan nodded once. "I know," still calm. The High Commander leaned forward just a little. She had broken kings and war leaders before. She enjoyed the moment when hope died in their eyes. It did not come. "You stand alone," she said. "You have no power here." "I understand," Ethan said. Silence followed, long and uncomfortable. The High Commander narrowed her eyes. "Then why," she asked slowly, "do you show no fear?" The question echoed through the chamber. No one spoke. This was not part of the ritual. Fear was always there. Fear was natural. Fear was useful. Ethan looked up at her fully now. He did not look away. He did not bow. "I am afraid," he said. That answer surprised them. "But not of you." A quiet wave moved through the chamber. The advisors exchanged looks. Some felt irritation. Some felt interest. The High Commander tilted her head. "Explain." Ethan took a slow breath. "Humans have lived with fear for as long as we remember. Fear of storms, fear of hunger, fear of sickness, fear of each other. Fear of the dark." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Fear is not new to us. It is something we learn to walk with." One of the alien commanders made a sharp sound. "Fear makes species obey," it said. "It makes them survive." "Yes," Ethan replied, "at first." The High Commander raised a hand, stopping further interruption. Her eyes never left Ethan. "Continue," she said. Ethan's voice remained steady. "Fear teaches survival, but after a while it teaches something else. It teaches limits, and humans have never liked limits." The High Commander felt something strange. This was not defiance. It was not bravery either. It was something quieter. "You lost," she said. "Your ships are destroyed. Your weapons are useless against us." Ethan nodded again. "We did." "And still you stand without fear," she said. "Why?" Ethan looked around the chamber at the walls, the soldiers, the power on display. "Because when you lose everything," he said, "fear loses its control." The room felt colder. The High Commander leaned back. "That is a lie," she said calmly. "Loss creates obedience." "For many species," Ethan said. "Yes," he looked back at her. "For humans, loss creates questions." Silence stretched again. The High Commander stood. Her height alone made the room feel smaller. "Your kind will adapt to our rule," she said. "You will serve, you will learn fear." Ethan did not argue. "Maybe." The answer annoyed some of the advisors. "Maybe," one of them hissed. Ethan turned slightly toward the sound. "Humans adapt faster when we have no choice." The High Commander stepped down from her platform. Each step was slow and controlled. She stopped only a few meters from him. You believe your species is special, she said. No, Ethan replied. We believe we are stubborn. She studied his face closely now. She searched for cracks. She found none. Your fear will come, she said softly. Ethan met her gaze. Then it will not be new. Another silence. The High Commander turned away and walked back to her platform. Take him to the observation sector, she ordered. I want this human studied. The guards moved. Ethan followed without resistance. As he was led out, one advisor leaned toward the High Commander. Why not end him now? She watched the doors close behind Ethan. Because, she said slowly, fearless prey is rare. Deep within the ship, Ethan was placed in a simple containment room. The walls were smooth. The air was clean. There were no restraints. He sat on the provided surface and closed his eyes. For the first time since entering the ship, his breath shook slightly. He thought of Earth. Of cities still standing, of people watching the stars, of quiet plans already moving. He opened his eyes again. The Dominion believed fear ruled everything. They would learn soon enough. Humans were afraid, but fear had never stopped them before. The observation sector was quiet in a way Ethan had never experienced before. It was not the peaceful quiet of Earth nights or empty roads. It was controlled silence, designed to make a prisoner feel small. The walls were smooth and light gray. The ceiling glowed softly without showing its source. There were no corners, no shadows, no hiding places. Ethan sat on the flat resting surface, his hands resting on his knees. He did not move much. He knew he was being watched. Hidden sensors studied his heart rate, breathing, eye movement, and body heat. The Dominion observed everything. They believed data revealed truth better than words. What confused them was that the data did not match their expectations. Ethan's heart rate stayed steady. His breathing slowed instead of speeding up. His body showed signs of stress but not panic. It was as if his mind accepted the situation faster than his body could react. Several levels above, in a wide chamber filled with floating screens, Dominion analysts watched in silence. Lines of data moved across the air. This is incorrect, one analyst said. A conquered species should show collapse responses. Another replied, perhaps he is hiding it. The High Commander watched from a raised platform, her eyes focused on Ethan's image. Fear hidden is still fear, she said. Continue observing. Hours passed, then days. Ethan was questioned often. Different officers entered the room, some spoke gently, others used sharp voices, some tried kindness, others tried threats. None worked. They asked about Earth's defenses. He gave honest answers that were already useless. They asked about human governments. He explained systems they could not easily control. They asked about fear. He answered calmly every time. Fear tells us when something matters, he said once. But it does not tell us what to do. One officer slammed a clawed hand against the wall. Fear makes weak species obey. Ethan looked at him. Fear makes humans prepare. This answer was recorded and studied. The High Commander began ordering comparisons. Other conquered species were brought into the observation data. Their reactions were clear. Fear led to submission. Submission led to survival under Dominion rule. Humans were different. Reports from Earth made the situation stranger. There were no large rebellions. No open attacks. No loud resistance. Instead, humans adjusted. Factories changed production quietly. Communication systems rerouted themselves. Old technology was repaired instead of replaced. Local leaders formed networks that did not rely on central control. Dominion overseers reported confusion. They follow orders, one report said, but not the way expected. They comply, said another, but efficiency improves beyond projected models. The High Commander did not like this. She ordered another meeting with Ethan. When the guards entered his room, Ethan stood without being told. He followed them through long halls of silver and black. This time he was taken to a smaller chamber. No advisors were present. Only the High Commander waited. You are adapting, she said as soon as he entered. Ethan stopped at a respectful distance. So are you. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You speak too freely. You asked for honesty, Ethan said. She studied him again. Your people obey our rules. Yes, and yet your systems grow stronger. Yes. This is not how fear behaves, she said. Ethan nodded. That's because you think fear ends action. She walked slowly around him, her steps silent. Then explain it, she said. Explain why your people do not break. Ethan thought for a moment, because we already did. She stopped. Explain. When Earth fell, Ethan said, people cried, they were angry, they were scared, they lost faith in many things. He looked at her. But once that passed, fear changed shape. Fear has only one shape, she replied. For you, Ethan said, not for us. She motioned for him to continue. Humans fear loss, Ethan said. But when loss becomes real, fear turns into focus. People stop asking what might happen and start asking what they can still do. The High Commander was silent. You expected panic, Ethan continued. You expected chaos, instead you gave us clarity. She did not like that answer. You assume too much, she said. Your world is watched, your movements are limited. Ethan smiled faintly. Limits force creativity. She faced him directly now. Are you planning rebellion? No, Ethan answered, her eyes sharpened. You lie. No, he said calmly. Rebellion needs anger, humans are past that. Then what do you plan? She demanded. Ethan met her gaze. Survival, the word echoed. The High Commander returned him to the observation sector, but her mind did not leave him. She reviewed more reports. Human engineers repaired Dominion machines faster than expected. Human workers improved efficiency without being asked. Some Dominion officers began relying on human advice. Fear should not produce this. Another report arrived. A minor supply disruption occurred in a nearby system. Nothing dramatic. No explosion, no attack, just delays. The cause was unclear, then another, and another. Patterns began to form. The High Commander ordered deeper analysis. The answer disturbed her. Humans were sharing knowledge quietly, teaching others how to adapt, showing weaker species how to live under Dominion rule without losing identity. This was not resistance. It was something worse. In the observation sector, Ethan sat alone again. A faint reflection of himself stared back from the wall. He looked older than when he arrived, not weaker, sharper. He knew the Dominion was learning, that was part of the plan. He also knew Earth was not waiting. Back in the command chamber, the High Commander summoned her senior officers. The human is a problem, one said. End him. No, she replied. Killing him solves nothing. He spreads ideas, another argued. She considered this. Ideas cannot be destroyed by force. That realization made her uncomfortable. She dismissed the officers and remained alone. For the first time in centuries, she questioned fear as a weapon. Fear had built the Dominion, but humans did not kneel the way others did. They adapted. They learned, they endured. She remembered his words. When you lose everything, fear loses its control. The thought stayed with her. Far away on Earth, a human technician looked up at the sky and returned to work. A farmer adjusted old machines. A teacher spoke quietly about history and mistakes. No one shouted, no one panicked. Humanity moved forward, not because they were unafraid, but because fear no longer ruled them. The Dominion flagship continued its steady path through space, but inside it, balance had begun to shift. The change was quiet. No alarms sounded, no weapons fired, yet something unseen was moving, like pressure building behind a sealed door. Ethan felt it. Days passed in the observation sector. The room never changed, but the questions did. They became sharper, more careful, less confident. This time the officers did not ask about Earth's weapons or fleets. They asked about human behavior. Why do your people repair damaged machines instead of requesting replacements? One officer asked. Because broken things still have value, Ethan replied. Why do humans form groups even when discouraged? Another asked. Because alone we survive, Ethan said. Together we improve. Each answer was recorded. Each answer caused more confusion. The High Commander watched every session. She noticed something else now. Ethan was no longer simply responding. He was guiding the conversation slowly and carefully. He chose words that opened doors instead of closing them. It bothered her. She ordered a full review of Dominion-controlled systems where humans were present. The results arrived in waves. Productivity was increasing. Resource waste was decreasing. Local species under Dominion rule were learning human methods. They repaired instead of replacing. They planned instead of reacting. They adapted without being told. The Dominion had always ruled through fear and force. Systems obeyed because they were afraid to fail. Humans showed another way. The High Commander summoned Ethan again, but this time the room was different. No guards stood nearby, no restraints waited, only a table separated them. You are changing my empire, she said. Ethan sat across from her calmly. I'm not doing anything. She leaned forward. You are teaching others. I'm answering questions, he said. Questions lead to ideas, she replied. Yes, Ethan agreed. Silence filled the space. You said before that humans already lost, the High Commander said. Explain that again. Ethan nodded slowly. When Earth fell, people expected the end. They prepared for it mentally, emotionally. She listened closely. When the end did not come, Ethan continued, everything after felt like extra time. Extra time, she repeated. Yes, he said. Fear loses power when you stop trying to protect what is already gone. The High Commander felt an unfamiliar discomfort. The Dominion had always relied on the future as a threat. Obey or you lose everything. Humans had already accepted that loss. You are dangerous, she said. Ethan did not deny it. Only to systems that depend on fear. Her eyes hardened. You think this makes you free? No, Ethan said. It makes us flexible. She stood and walked to the far side of the room, her back to him. The Dominion adapts as well. I know, Ethan replied. That's why you haven't killed me, she turned sharply. Do not mistake curiosity for weakness. I don't, Ethan said. I see intelligence. That answer stopped her. She dismissed him without another word. As Ethan returned to the observation sector, events continued beyond the flagship. Small disruptions appeared across Dominion space. Supply chains slowed. Communication delays increased. Nothing large enough to justify retaliation. Humans were careful. They taught other species how to follow Dominion rules while quietly improving themselves. How to appear obedient while becoming independent. The Dominion called it inefficiency. Humans called it patience. On a mining world far from Earth, a local worker watched a human adjust an old drill instead of requesting a new one. Why not replace it? The alien asked. Because fixing teaches you how it works, the human replied. The alien remembered that. Back on the flagship, the High Commander studied maps of her empire. She noticed something disturbing. Systems with no humans remained stable. Systems with humans became unpredictable. Not violent, just unpredictable. She summoned her senior council. The humans are spreading a mindset, one officer said, and their influence. By force, another asked. The High Commander considered it. Force creates martyrs. Then isolate them, a third suggested. They will adapt, she replied. Silence followed. They are not fighting us, one officer said slowly. They are changing the battlefield. The High Commander dismissed them all. She returned to her private chamber and stood alone, staring at the stars. For the first time in centuries, she felt uncertainty. The Dominion had always faced enemies that wanted power or freedom. Humans wanted survival with dignity. That was harder to control. She ordered a final private meeting with Ethan. When he entered, she spoke without anger. Tell me the truth. What is your end goal? Ethan took his time to make fear useless. She laughed once, sharp and cold. Fear built the Dominion, and it will limit it, Ethan replied. You think humanity can defeat us? She asked. No, Ethan said honestly, not like this. Then why continue? She demanded. Because empires don't fall when they are defeated, Ethan said. They fall when their rules stop working. The words settled between them. She studied him carefully. You believe this is already happening? Yes, Ethan said. How? She asked. Because you are asking me questions instead of giving orders. She did not respond. Outside the flagship, the stars burned quietly. Across Dominion space, small choices added up. Less fear, more thought, less obedience, more understanding. Ethan returned to his room for the last time that day. He sat, closed his eyes, and allowed himself a slow breath. Humanity had not struck back with weapons. They had struck back with endurance. And the Dominion was only beginning to understand what that meant. The first open sign of trouble appeared in a place the Dominion did not expect. It was not Earth. It was a small trade system near the edge of Dominion space, a place with no strategic value and no powerful fleets. The Dominion had ruled it for generations. The local species obeyed every command. Fear kept them quiet. Then the shipments stopped arriving on time. At first, Dominion officials blamed whether patterns, asteroid drift, or simple error. Nothing serious, but the delays continued. Not large delays, just enough to cause stress. Repair parts arrived incomplete. Energy cells worked, but not at full output. Communication signals carried slight distortions. Nothing that justified punishment, everything that caused irritation. The High Commander received the reports with growing concern. Similar patterns appeared elsewhere. Always small, always careful, always just below the level of open rebellion. And in almost every system where this happened, humans were present. She ordered immediate investigation. The investigators found no sabotage, no explosions, no violence, no secret weapons. Everything appeared legal and compliant. That was the problem. Humans followed every rule, they filled every report, they attended every inspection. They simply worked differently. They fixed broken machines instead of replacing them. They shared knowledge instead of hoarding it. They taught local workers how to think through problems instead of waiting for orders. Fear began to fade, and with it, obedience changed shape. On the flagship, the High Commander watched new footage from a resource station. A human technician stood beside a local supervisor, calmly explaining how to reroute power to avoid overload. "This method reduces failure risk," the human said. "But the Dominion manual says," the supervisor began. "The manual assumes panic during failure," the human replied. "This avoids panic." The system output increased by 12%. The High Commander closed the feed. Fear had always made systems predictable. Predictability made control easy. Humans removed predictability. She summoned her command staff. "The humans are not attacking us," one officer said. "They are infecting others with confidence." "Confidence leads to disobedience," another replied. "Not always," a third said carefully. "Sometimes it leads to competence." The High Commander fixed her gaze on him. "Competence without loyalty is dangerous." "What do you command?" an officer asked. She remained silent for a long moment. "Restrict human movement," she said finally. "Limit their influence." The orders went out. Humans were reassigned, separated, watched more closely. The effect was immediate. Efficiency dropped. Local workers struggled without human guidance. Systems failed more often. Fear returned, but now it felt unfamiliar and clumsy. The Dominion officers grew frustrated. On Earth, the restrictions were felt too. Oversight increased, surveillance tightened, but humans adjusted as they always had. They spoke less. They taught through example. They let others learn by doing. Fear could stop speech. It could not stop observation. Ethan noticed the change during his next meeting with the High Commander. "You are losing control," he said calmly. She did not deny it. "You forced my hand." "I didn't," Ethan replied. "You chose fear again." She stood, towering over him. "Fear works." "For a while," Ethan said. She stared at him. "You think you've already won?" "No," he answered. "I think you can't go back." That angered her more than defiance. She ended the meeting abruptly. Days later, a system-wide incident occurred. Not a rebellion, not an attack. A refusal. A logistics hub failed Dominion inspection standards. The local leaders accepted punishment calmly. They did not resist. They did not beg. They simply fixed the problems themselves and continued operating. The Dominion officers did not know how to respond. Fear demanded reaction. Competence removed the need for it. The High Commander finally understood the scale of the threat. This was not about humans spreading ideas. It was about humans removing the need for fear altogether. She ordered Ethan brought to her again. This time, her voice held something new. Concern. "You are teaching others to live without us," she said. Ethan shook his head. "We're teaching them to live without fear." "That ends empires," she said. "Yes," Ethan agreed. She walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. "The Dominion cannot rule a galaxy that does not fear it." Ethan remained silent. She turned back to him. "Why do this?" "Because fear is expensive," Ethan said. "It breaks things faster than it builds them." She considered that. Reports continued to arrive. Systems demanded fewer overseers. Local leaders handled crises without calling Dominion fleets. Some even solved disputes peacefully. This had never happened before. The Dominion's greatest strength, its overwhelming presence, was becoming unnecessary, and what is unnecessary is often removed. The High Commander realized the truth too late. Humans had not attacked the Dominion, they had made it obsolete. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Not rebellion, not revolution, just a simple idea. Life did not have to be lived afraid. Ethan sat alone again in his observation sector. For the first time, the guards outside looked uncertain. The Dominion still had fleets, still had power. But fear was no longer absolute, and that changed everything. The Dominion flagship slowed near the center of its territory, something it had not done in centuries. Fleets still moved, weapons still worked, orders were still given, yet the rhythm of the Empire had changed. It hesitated. Across Dominion space, systems continued to function, but not as before. They no longer waited for fear to push them forward. They acted because action made sense. Problems were solved without panic. Decisions were made without threats. The Dominion still ruled, but it was no longer needed in the same way. The High Commander stood alone in the command chamber, looking at a live map of the galaxy. Colors shifted softly. Once every system glowed with perfect order. Now some regions pulsed independently, still loyal, still compliant, but no longer dependent. She had built her power on fear, fear of punishment, fear of loss, fear of tomorrow. Humans had taken that away without firing a single shot. Ethan was summoned one last time. When he entered the chamber, there were no guards close by, no weapons aimed at him. The advisors stood farther back, quiet and tense. The High Commander faced him directly. "You were right," she said. Ethan did not speak. "Fear no longer works the way it did," she continued. "My officers report obedience but not dependence." She paused. "The Dominion cannot exist without dependence." Ethan nodded slowly. "Empires are tools," he said. "When the problem changes, the tool stops fitting." Her eyes hardened. "You think humanity caused this?" "I think humanity showed another option," Ethan replied. She walked toward the viewport, staring into the stars. "Other species are asking questions now." "That always happens," Ethan said. "They are not asking how to fight us," she said. "They are asking how to live without us." The words felt heavy. The High Commander turned back to him. "If I destroy Earth now, will this stop?" Ethan met her gaze calmly. "No." "Why?" she asked. "Because Earth is no longer the source," he replied. "It's just the example." Silence filled the chamber. The advisors shifted uneasily. This was not how empires ended. There was no final battle, no dramatic defeat, just a slow realization. The High Commander dismissed the advisors. When they were gone, she spoke more quietly. "You are not afraid of me," she said. "I am," Ethan replied honestly. "I just don't let fear decide for me." She studied him carefully. "Humans accept loss too easily." "No," Ethan said. "We accept reality, then we work with what's left." She considered that. "The Dominion can still destroy," she said. "We can burn worlds." "Yes," Ethan said, "but then you would rule ashes, and ashes don't fear anything." That was the moment she understood. Fear only mattered when there was something left to lose. She straightened. "I will order Earth released." Ethan's breath caught slightly, but he said nothing. "Not because you defeated us," she continued, "but because keeping you changes us faster than losing you." Ethan inclined his head. "That's fair." The order went out across the Dominion. Human oversight was reduced. Fleets pulled back from Earth's orbit. Control systems were quietly removed. On Earth, people watched the sky as the ships moved away. No cheers erupted. No celebrations filled the streets. People returned to work. That was the most human response of all. Across the galaxy, other systems noticed. Not rebellion, not revolt, just a quiet understanding. If humans could be released, maybe others could too. The Dominion did not collapse in fire, it thinned. Fleets became fewer. Commands became suggestions. Fear became memory. The High Commander stood at the viewport as the flagship changed course, no longer at the center of everything. Ethan was escorted to a small transport vessel. As he prepared to leave, she spoke once more. "Why did you really not fear me?" she asked. Ethan paused at the doorway. "Because I wasn't here to win," he said. "I was here to endure." The transport departed. The High Commander watched it disappear into the stars. For the first time in her long rule, she felt something other than power or fear. She felt respect. Back on Earth, life continued. Cities repaired, fields grew. Children learned history that now included loss, survival, and patience. Humanity had not proven itself the strongest. It had proven itself unbreakable. And the galaxy would never forget the day fear met a species that simply refused to let it rule.